All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupagus show. I am Lupagus, riding solo tonight. One Bar apparently has to go return some videotapes and cannot be here with us tonight. So we're going to look at 4 realistic Vikings free agent signings they could make before training camp gets rolling here. The team has about 8 to 10 million in money right now they could use to spend if they want to bring in a veteran. And, they could use – you really got like the overall depth of the team that they've built through the draft and free agency this year, but they could use some veteran help at some positions. One that comes to mind is wide receiver, pretty young overall there, especially if you look at down the depth chart. And the other is definitely the offensive line. The Vikings are really rolling with a young group on their O-line this year. Could use a veteran to just come in and just bring that veteran leadership and experience to that unit. So we're gonna look at 4 guys the Vikings could sign. In no particular order. Let's start, though, with an edge rusher. There's 2 guys the Vikings have shown interest in. The first one is Ryan Kerrigan from the Washington football team. The Vikings have been sniffing around him for quite a while. He's 32 years old. He did have 5.5 sacks last year, so he's still pretty productive. I really think he'd be an upgrade over Stephen Weatherly. The guy's had some shots to start, hasn't really been able to put it together. He did have a nice stretch of 6 games back, and I think it was 2019 when he filled in for Everson Griffin, but Panthers gave him starting money. He went over there. He couldn't do the job. And now he's back. I think Kerrigan would definitely be your day 1 starter opposite Daniel Hunter. And then you look at rotating guys in Weatherly, DJ Wanham, Patrick Jones. I think you're going to keep your guys fresh, but I think Kerrigan's definitely a guy they could bring in, and I think he would be an upgrade over Stephen Weatherly. Let's move over to offense. I know One Bar already did a video today on D.D. Westbrook. He was a guy I definitely want to mention here. Another guy the Vikings have shown interest in. If I'm looking to bring in a wide receiver, the Vikings already did this by bringing in, I don't want to say a legendary player, but a future Hall of Famer and Patrick Peterson in their secondary. Why not look at his teammate and good friend Larry Fitzgerald to be the Vikings wide receiver 3 this year, or at least the 3rd, 4th option, depending on how you want to use him. Again, this is like having a coach on the field. This guy could be huge for the young receivers, huge for Smith Marset, huge for BC Johnson, huge for Chad Beebe, huge for Justin Jefferson. This guy is one of the all-time greatest wide receivers to play. Even in a limited role with, guys ahead of him in the depth chart, Larry Fitzgerald caught 54 balls last year, had a touchdown. So I think he could definitely help this receiving core out. And the thing that worries me with the Vikings receiving core, I'm not worried about the guys who are scheduled to be there. I think we're fine 1 through 5, really. But if an injury hits Thielen or Jefferson, that's where I think the worry comes in. And having a guy like Larry Fitzgerald be huge insurance in case that ever happens. Yeah, he's not going to replace the production, but, he can at least be a veteran leader out there who knows how to get open, can catch some balls, and be a reliable target for Kirk Cousins if that situation were to hit the Vikings. So Larry Fitzgerald would be great, too, just to see him come back. He's come full circle. I mean, he started out as a ball boy in Minnesota. See him end his career in purple would be huge. I think a lot of Vikings fans would absolutely love that. I know I would. I know One Bar would. Larry Fitzgerald. Let's bring him aboard. Why the hell not? This one surprised me when I heard the news last week, but the Vikings have had talks with Everson Griffin, bringing him back. The reason this is surprising with the comments he made about Kirk Cousins just a few months back. You thought that maybe would have just severed his ties with the team, but supposedly the Vikings are still interested. Obviously, he gives you familiarity. Mike Zimmer knows what he's getting with this guy. He's a great leader on the field, high-energy player. Even with the weird season he had last year, playing for the Cowboys, playing for the Lions, he still had 6 sacks. So I do think talent standpoint, he's an upgrade over Stephen Weatherly. Would there be some weird feelings with him coming in the locker room with what he said about Kirk Cousins and the team in general? Maybe, but you're trying to improve your football team. You think Everson Griffin's the guy who could do that. Maybe he is somebody you look at. But again, it was hard to see him not starting across from Daniel Hunter next year. I don't know if he would keep that job very, very long, but I do think he would be starting. So again, Vikings could definitely look at that. I still think it's a long shot just with the way everything went down. You can't really say that kind of stuff and all of a sudden be welcome back to the team. But we'll see what happens. Stranger things have happened. The last guy I got on my list, the 4th option of Vikings to look at, would be bolstering their offensive line with a guy like James Carpenter. He's kind of bounced around the league lately. I can't remember who he was even with, but he's 6'5", 321 pounds. Again, he's up there in his 30s, but he brings that veteran presence to the interior of the Vikings O-line. I mean, you're going to probably have Wyatt Davis and Ezra Cleveland. You got a rookie and a second-year guy, and your second-year guy may be playing a new position of left guard. If you have James Carpenter there, I don't think he's going to unseat either one of those guys. I mean, Wyatt Davis still has to make the team, and everybody's just assuming he's going to be a starter. But and Carpenter just brought in to upgrade your depth. I mean, you'd be a huge upgrade over Drew Samia, huge upgrade over Dakota Dozier. He can also play right tackle on a pinch. He started out his career there when he was drafted by the Seahawks. So a player who, again, not super sexy, and he gives you some quality depth. If an injury hits Davis or Cleveland, at least you have a veteran that you can rely on. That's not Drew Samia. That is not Dakota Dozier. So again, just someone who I think would, emergency situation, the world's not going to fall. You're going to be okay if you can plug in James Carpenter for a few games and let him do his thing. So those are 4 realistic options the Vikings could look at, who could still, they could still sign, you know, before things get rolling this year with training camp. So if you have anybody else you think would be a great signing for the Vikings, drop it in the comments. Do not forget to drop in also the hashtag 3000. We're going to give away that beautiful Christian Darrisaw jersey this weekend. So still plenty of chances to get your name in the drawing by using hashtag 3000. So don't forget to do that. And don't forget to keep your skull in your hole.